Hi, Brian here, welcome back to the Angels Modelling and Railways. Here we are looking at the timber tunnel portal side of the rock work. I've added some Woodland Scenics rock moulds and applied them with some WWS fibre mould. Now that all the fibre mould is applied, even now as I tap it, it's starting to harden. It's no longer mushy. You can see there. Hear it how it's solid. It's no longer squelchy like mush. So I keep a little bit of water handy, and that way you can go back over it and start shaping up any areas that you want. So if you're wanting to smooth out certain parts, pull certain parts over. So yeah, you get the idea. Just a case of dabbing some water on the finger. Just re-manipulating it. Also dipping a little dipping a stick into water can help you re-manipulate it, so if you want to kind of start making some rock work into it, you can. So yeah, you can form little seams, use different tools obviously to help you. It's still quite soft, so you can manipulate it the way you want. Go back over, rub it with a finger, start creating your rock work that way. So I'm going to carry on and do this before it dries too much, and I'll show you the end results. So here is the fibre mould being worked, just using a little screwdriver and creating basically kind of crevices, cracks and splits, and basically following no particular shape or pattern, working off a kind of photograph of certain mountains, Mount Mackay and whatnot in Ontario, Canada, and getting an idea of some of their rock structures, and basically just kind of emulating that as best I can with the tools that I have. And it's starting to look a little bit more like rock work rather than fibre mould. So you just go over the areas that you see and flatten some out and smooth some off. But really what you're wanting to do is to try and create, I'd imagine, as many little areas where you can put a wash on, dark wash or a light wash, and it'll find the grooves and the pockets. A lot of this is going to have foliage and shrubs and stuff growing on it, the way I've seen on some of these mountains in particular in Ontario. So I'll be doing some of that as well, and not all of the rock work will be seen, but the bits that I think you will see, I'm doing my best to try and make them look the best I can. And using a brush sometimes can help, so just little striations from a brush help rough it up a little bit. So whatever you've got to hand to help make grooves and dents, I imagine using the fibre mould that way helps create some nice rock work. As I said, the rest of it will have foliage and shrubs and stuff growing, and the rock work, some of the rock work you will see, and some of it will be covered in moss and heavily weathered. So I start with a black acrylic wash, very thin, to cover the rock mould with it. Then I proceed to use a light brown over it and start to get a kind of mix of tones, depth and light on it. Then I proceed to use a darker brown to try and make the stonework look a little bit more solid. Now this is all a learning curve, Never worked on anything this big as far as a layout goes, so I am applying the techniques as I go. There's a little mix of green in there to add the moss and whatnot. There's some other lighter tones, but with the tunnel portal in place, I had to kind of ruin some of that nice rock work by adding some more fibre mould to fit the tunnel mouth in place. And while doing so, I added some more elements of features to the rock work to help it blend into the corner. And I think you'll agree those little touches make a difference to it, and it helps hide some of the plaster cloth that was visible and add more definition round about the tunnel mouth itself. So I proceed to let that dry and harden and set up another brown wash a little bit darker and apply that around the tunnel mouth, which helps to blend it all in. So never fear when you're working with this sort of stuff. It'll always work out in the long run, especially when you're working with plaster. Just add more paint and it'll look great. So to avoid that disaster, I added shims underneath each side of the tunnel portal to help the stock pass through easily. To create the concrete effect, I use golden moulding paste. It is applied thinly to the styrene, where I use some building sand to stick it all down, and then 3 different colours were tested on it: a brown, a grey and a concrete. I felt the grey was the better tone to use, as I will be weathering it and adding other tones to it once it's fitted to the rock face. So to create that, I start off by using a thin piece of styrene, grabbing some of the moulding paste and applying it thinly to the surface of the styrene. I do that in all parts because the moulding paste takes a little bit of time to dry. It doesn't dry too quickly, so you have plenty working time with it, and it gave me plenty of time to set up all the parts for this, to get the moulding paste all over them and then apply the sand on them and use a ruler to create the lined concrete effect as the layers of concrete have been used to build up the tunnel. So I'll let you watch the rest of this and see how it works out. So here we see the cave mouth with the Woodland Scenics rock moulds added inside to give some depth. Now we can watch me apply the dark brown wash over the rockwork speeded up. My new Harder and Steenbeck airbrush is superb. I rattled 4 colours through it, cleaned it after every use, and it just keeps running sweet as a nut. It just goes to show you that buying some quality tools for the job certainly make a difference. And you can see here the finish on the panels for this, which I'm going for a cream and green look, looks superb. So yeah, coming to the end of the video, been a hell of a lot done this week, working on the back scene. As you can see, it was only a couple of weeks ago that it looked like that. It was just all plaster cloth, and slowly but surely persevering, adding Woodland Scenics rock moulds, fibre mould, plaster, and building up the rock work to the best of my ability. Yeah, I'm happy with how it's coming together. It's certainly got a lot more work to go, but the back scene is very important in getting it looking to a certain level, that's for sure. So thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you watching this and commenting, liking and subscribing. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.